What is going on, everybody in Math Squad? Welcome back to a brand new video. Today we're going to be doing the first impressions of the Moto E 2020. Now, is this device worth the money? Let's find out. So Math Squad, here we are with the first impressions of the Moto E from 2020 here. And the first thing I want to say about this device is the price and how much I love it. Now, don't get me wrong. I know I could have got it at a cheaper price around the Black Friday time. I hear it was like 39, 40 bucks, but I got mine at $60 on the prepaid carrier here in the United States, Straight Talk Wireless. Now, though I have no plans of activating the line here in Straight Talk, one thing I will say is the performance and overall value of this device is amazing. Motorola has done it again. So I don't know if you've been around my channel that long, but I did a couple of reviews for the Moto E4 and the Moto E4 Plus of, I believe, 2018. I want to say 2018, I'm not sure. But those two devices were some of my favorite phones of that year because of the overall value of it. And this one here is no different. So keep that in mind here, $59.99 for this phone, and I'm about to go over the specs for you. So with the Moto E for 2020, the specifications are going to be 2 gigs of RAM and 32 gigs of internal storage, which is not a lot, but this is a budget phone here, so we can't expect too much. For the CPU, it's going to be the Snapdragon 632, which is an octa-core chipset, as we all know. You're going to have a 3,550 milliamp hour battery, an HD Plus display. You're also going to have a loudspeaker on the bottom of this device here. It comes with a headphone jack. You get dual cameras on the rear here. Now you're gonna have a 13 megapixel primary sensor, and then a 2 megapixel depth sensor so you can get those portrait shots. And then on the front of the device, you're gonna have a 5 megapixel camera. Now, unfortunately, this device is a part of the notch community here, which is not a big deal because, I mean, hey, if you already have a notch, what's a big bezel on the bottom as well, right? Looking at some more things on the device here as far as the overall design. For the power button, you're gonna have a rigid power button, which is always a plus here, and Motorola has been known to do this for years now. You get a nice grippy texture on there so that you can feel the difference between the volume up and down keys and the power button. But on the bottom of the device here, which is a gripe for me, but I can't really get too upset about it, the fact that the phone has micro USB for charging. Now, don't get me wrong, I know you can't expect too much from a budget device here in 2021/2020 here, when the device actually came out, but the fact that it does have micro USB in 2020, when I do remember seeing an article saying from Motorola here that all devices from a certain point, and I'm pretty sure it was before 2020, are going to have USB Type-C for charging as opposed to micro USB. Not the case here with this device here, but that does not take away from the overall value of it. So like I said, the Snapdragon 632 on a device that costs 60 bucks sounds like a good deal, right? That's because it is a good deal. You can't get a better deal than that. As far as $59.99, this is probably the best phone I ever bought at 60 bucks. With the cameras here, getting into details with that, yeah, you have a 13 megapixel primary lens on the back here that is capable of shooting full HD video at 60 frames per second. The lowest is 720p at 30 frames. And for the front facing camera, it is capped at 1080p 30 frames. So when it comes to video quality on this device here, you can't be too upset with it. It is passable. But the fact that it does have that feature, or it is able to record at such a high frame rate at this price, is a good deal. You also get a fingerprint scanner on the rear of this device with the Motorola logo inside of it here. So always a nice touch from Motorola. And key things, or another key feature that a lot of Motorola phones have, is the chop action here. So basically you chop your phone and you're able to activate the flashlight. Show you guys that. I don't want to blind you there. But one of the features that is missing here is the twist action for you to activate your camera. So I thought that kind of sucked. So as I said earlier, this device does feature a 6.2-inch HD Plus display, and it performs pretty well here. When it comes to watching YouTube videos, the display quality is pretty good. You're not going to be upset at all. Really good for the money here. One of the gripes about this phone here is the fact that it has 2 gigs of RAM. I think Motorola should have went with at least 3 gigs, but I think what they did for last year was cap it at 2 so that the Moto G Fast, a device that has 3 gigs of RAM, could be a better option for people who want something with a little bit more power, a little bit more bang for the buck. But with the overall design of the Moto E here, that blue color that it has, it's a really nice color. I really love it. It gives me like a little bit of a vibe of the iPhone here. You heard it here first. iPhone 12 copied the Moto E color here. It is what it is, right? Loudspeaker quality on this phone is pretty acceptable. You're not going to be upset at all. It gets really loud. It's not the most crisp sound, but it's not the worst I've heard, so that's a positive for it. Overall, battery life has been pretty much what I expect here. The device only has 2 gigs of RAM, has a 720p display, so battery life should be great on this phone here. But to be honest with you guys, I haven't done like an extensive test. Battery test video for the Moto E 2020 is coming to the channel, so you'll be able to get more details as far as battery life here. But from what I've seen so far, I've gotten about 5 hours of screen on time, 6 hours of screen on time, but this is just within a few days of having the phone here. Because we all know the butterfly stage of getting anything new. You get overly excited, you don't pay attention to things like you would after having a device for a certain amount of time. We spoke about video earlier here, but the actual camera quality is pretty good as well. You won't be upset with the pictures that this device can produce here. But if you're expecting something that's going to be, in the $200 to $300 range here, the device will not provide you of that. What the Motorola E for 2020 is a device for people looking for a budget phone that they don't have to be upset about using every single time they pull it out their pocket. You're going to be able to get things done with this phone here. It is a pretty snappy processor that's inside of this device for the price. So when it comes to things like that, those are things you really got to accept here. A lot of people who buy this phone here don't even understand the processor that's inside of this device here. But a couple years ago, a phone that cost $60 was nowhere near a 600 series processor. You were definitely in the 400 series range. So guys, make sure you get a jar ready for the amount of times that I say 2 gigs of RAM here, because I'm getting ready to say it again. Overall performance with the Moto E here, 2 gigs of RAM, let's not forget that. Bouncing in and out of applications is going to be a little laggy here. I'm going to be honest, it's not the fastest phone. That is a fact here. That's something that I'm going to be let known for sure. The device is a bit laggy, but that's only because it suffers from the fact that it doesn't have enough RAM here. Now the storage is a positive. You do get 32 gigs as opposed to 16 gigs, because we all know a couple years ago, 16 gigs was pretty much the budget, and that was horrible. 16 gigs on the phone in 2021, is horrible here. But you got 32 gigs, so we can't get too upset about that. So what are the things we learned about the first impressions of the Moto E here? Well, for sure, the price that it's at right now, you're not gonna find anything better. We also learned the device features a micro USB charging port, which is a little upsetting for me here, but for the average person, that's not a big deal. You actually get a charger in the box, unlike some other OEMs. You get a fingerprint scanner, dual camera setup on the back, HD plus display, headphone jack, loudspeaker on the bottom here. Overall, beautiful blue color that another OEM absolutely 100% copied off of them. We all know who I'm talking about. So Mask Squad, that is my first impressions of the Moto E for 2020. So make sure you share this video with your friends and family and let them know not all Android cameras suck. It's not true. Until then, my name is Maxi Rock. Thank you for watching this video. Have a good day, y'all. Deuces.